By the time my son pulled into the driveway the next morning, expecting a wire transfer confirmation for $380,000, he'd find the gate locked, a for sale sign on the lawn, and a certified letter waiting at the post office that would make him collapse right there in the parking lot. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It started 3 weeks ago, on a Tuesday. I remember because I was watching the Blazers game when my phone rang. Michael's name lit up the screen, and I felt that little flutter of joy I always got when my boy called. Even at 65, even after everything, you never stop being a father. "Hey, Dad, you got a minute?" Something in his voice made me mute the TV. Not the casual, "Hey, Pop," he usually started with. This was formal, careful. "Of course, son. What's going on? I need to talk to you about something important. Can Amanda and I come by tomorrow evening? Around 7? Amanda, his wife of 12 years. They always came together for Sunday dinners, holidays, the usual. But this felt different. This felt planned. "Everything okay with you two?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. Yeah, everything's fine. It's a business opportunity. Something big. I really want to run it by you in person." Business opportunity. Those 2 words should have been my first warning. Michael worked as a regional sales manager for a pharmaceutical company. Good job, decent salary, benefits. But he'd always had these side ventures. The food truck that lasted 4 months. The drop-shipping business that never shipped anything. The cryptocurrency mining rig in his garage that cost more in electricity than it ever generated. "Sure, son. 7 o'clock. I'll make coffee." "Thanks, Dad. This is going to change everything, I promise you." After he hung up, I sat there in my recliner, TV still muted, feeling something cold settle in my stomach. I'd heard that tone before, that mixture of excitement and desperation. It was the same voice he'd used when he was 16, asking to borrow the car for a quick errand that ended with a fender bender and a $300 deductible. The next evening, they arrived exactly at 7. Michael wore a blazer over a button-down shirt, no tie. Amanda had on a dress I'd never seen before, something expensive-looking with a designer label probably. They both carried leather folders. This wasn't a casual visit. This was a presentation. "Dad, thanks for seeing us on short notice," Michael said, shaking my hand like we were at a business meeting. Amanda kissed my cheek, her perfume overpowering the smell of the coffee I'd just brewed. We sat in the living room, them on the couch, me in my chair, the same chair where I'd rocked Michael to sleep when he was a baby, where I'd helped him with homework, where I'd sat alone after his mother died 8 years ago. "So," I said, trying to keep things light, "what's this big opportunity?" Michael and Amanda exchanged a look. She nodded, like they'd rehearsed this. He opened his leather folder and pulled out what looked like a business plan. Glossy pages, charts, projections. "Dad, you know I've been in sales for 15 years now. I've learned the industry inside and out. And Amanda, with her background in marketing, we've been planning this for 2 years. He leaned forward, and I could see it in his eyes now. That fever. That certainty that this time would be different. We're starting our own medical device distribution company. He slid the folder across the coffee table. I picked it up, flipped through pages of market analysis, competitor research, projected revenue streams. It actually looked professional, detailed. "This is impressive work," I said carefully. "We've got contracts ready to sign with 3 manufacturers," Amanda added, her voice smooth and practiced. 2 in California, 1 in Texas. Medical-grade equipment for physical therapy clinics, orthopedic offices. The margins are incredible, Dad. 20 to 35% markup. We've found warehouse space in Gresham, Michael continued. Perfect location, close to the distribution routes. And we've already got interest from 17 clinics in the Portland metro area. 17, Dad. Before we've even officially launched. I nodded slowly, looking at the numbers. Year 1 projections. $800,000 in revenue. Year 2, $2.1 million. Year 3, $4.5 million. The numbers looked good. Too good. "And you need?" $380,000, Michael said. He said it like it was nothing. Like he was asking to borrow my lawnmower. "That covers the initial inventory purchase. 6 months of warehouse lease, insurance, licensing, and operating capital for the first quarter. $380,000. I'd worked 42 years as a civil engineer, saved carefully, lived modestly. I'd sold my small consulting firm 6 months ago when I finally decided to retire. After taxes and paying off the last of the mortgage on this house, I had just over $450,000 in my retirement accounts and savings. That's a significant amount of money, I said. We know, Dad. Michael reached across and put his hand on mine. And we wouldn't ask if we weren't absolutely certain. We've done the research. We've got the connections. This isn't like the other things I've tried. This is real. This is solid. We have a business plan reviewed by 2 different consultants, Amanda added, pulling out more papers. Financial projections approved by our accountant. Here, we brought copies of everything. I looked at the documents. Professional letterhead. Signatures. It all looked legitimate. When would you need this? By Friday, Michael said. We need to wire the deposit to the manufacturers by end of business Friday to lock in our pricing. If we miss this window, the costs go up 12%, and we lose our competitive advantage. 4 days. He wanted nearly my entire retirement fund in 4 days. And your contribution? I asked. What are you 2 putting in? Michael shifted uncomfortably. We've liquidated our savings, $47,000, and we're taking out a second mortgage on the house for another $60,000. But Dad, the manufacturers require 40% upfront. That's industry standard. Without that initial payment, we don't get the inventory. Without the inventory, we don't have a business. Why not a business loan? An SBA loan? We've tried, Amanda said quickly. Too quickly. Banks want to see 2 years of business tax returns. We don't have that because we haven't launched yet. It's a catch-22. We need the capital to start, but we can't get the capital without already being started. I sat back in my chair, feeling every one of my 65 years, looking at my son, at the hope and desperation in his eyes, at Amanda, her carefully applied makeup, her expensive dress, her manicured nails. Let me think about it, I said finally. Michael's face fell. Dad, we need to know by tomorrow, the manufacturers. Then you'll know tomorrow, I said, my voice firmer than I intended. This is $380,000, Michael. I'm not writing a check for that without sleeping on it. They left 20 minutes later, Michael hugging me at the door, Amanda thanking me with tears in her eyes. You're the best father-in-law anyone could ask for, she said. After they drove away, I sat in my chair and stared at the business plan until the words blurred. Something wasn't right. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something was wrong. At 11 p.m., I called my neighbor, Tom Chen. He'd retired from the FBI 3 years ago after 30 years investigating white-collar crime. We played chess every Thursday and complained about our lawns. Tom, sorry to call so late. I need a favor. You okay, Robert? Yeah, but can you look into something for me? A business my son wants to start. I don't know. Something feels off. Give me the details. I read him the names of the manufacturers, the warehouse address, the consultants who'd supposedly reviewed the plan. Tom was quiet for a long moment. Robert, give me until tomorrow afternoon. Don't commit to anything until we talk. I barely slept that night. I kept seeing Michael's face, his excitement, his certainty. And then I'd see the numbers. 380,000. Everything I'd worked for. The next morning, Tom came over at 9 a.m. with his laptop and a manila folder. Sit down, Robert. The 2 manufacturers in California? Legitimate companies. But when Tom called them, pretending to be a potential distributor, they had no record of any pending contracts with Michael Warren. The Texas company didn't exist at all. The address listed was a UPS store. The warehouse in Gresham. Available for lease, yes. But no application had been filed under Michael's name or the business name he'd mentioned. The consultants who reviewed the business plan? One was a real CPA, but when Tom called his office, he said he'd never heard of Michael or Amanda Warren. The other consultant's business license had been suspended 2 years ago for fraud. There's more, Tom said quietly. I had a friend run a background check. Michael's clean, but Amanda. He slid a printout across the table. She's got gambling debts. $73,000 spread across 3 casinos in Nevada. Collection agencies have been calling her. And Robert? She filed for bankruptcy 8 years ago under her maiden name, before she married your son. I felt like I'd been punched. Does Michael know? I heard myself ask. I don't know. But Robert, there's one more thing. Tom pulled up something on his laptop. A Facebook page. Photos of Amanda at a restaurant in Seattle 2 weeks ago, holding hands with a man who wasn't my son. More photos from a month ago. 2 months ago. All with the same man. I'm sorry, Tom said. I'm so sorry. I asked Tom to leave. I needed to think, to process. My son was being used, or worse, he was in on it. Either way, they wanted to take everything I had. That's when I started making calls. First, to my attorney, Patricia Hernandez. I'd known her for 20 years. Patricia, I need to update my will, today if possible. Robert, is everything all right? I need Michael removed as beneficiary. Everything goes to the Children's Hospital Foundation. Can we do that today? There was a pause. Yes, come in at 2. Next, I called my financial advisor, Greg. I need to move my retirement accounts, make them untouchable. What are my options? Robert, what's going on? Just tell me how to protect my money. By 2 p.m., I'd signed new will documents. By 4 p.m., my primary accounts had been transferred into an irrevocable trust with the hospital as beneficiary. Michael couldn't touch them even if something happened to me. Then I called a real estate agent. Hi, this is Robert Warren on Maple Street. I'd like to list my house as soon as possible, and I need a fast sale. Price it to move. At 6 p.m., my phone rang. Michael. Hey, Dad. So, have you thought about it? We really need to know tonight to move forward with the wire transfer tomorrow. Come over tomorrow morning, I said. 9 a.m. We'll talk then. Can you just tell me now? Dad, time is really tight on this. Tomorrow morning, Michael, 9 o'clock. I hung up before he could argue. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I sat at my kitchen table and wrote a letter. 4 pages, single-spaced. Everything I wanted to say. Everything I should have said years ago. Dear Michael, by the time you read this, you'll have discovered that the house is sold, the money is gone, and I've left Portland. You're probably angry, confused, maybe even worried about me. Don't be. I'm fine. In fact, I'm better than I've been in years. I know about the fake manufacturers. I know about the non-existent warehouse lease. I know about Amanda's gambling debts and her boyfriend in Seattle. I know this was never about a business opportunity. It was about taking my retirement money to solve problems you thought I was too old and too trusting to discover. What hurts the most isn't the deception. It's that you thought I was fool enough to fall for it. Your mother and I raised you better than this. We taught you about integrity, about hard work, about taking responsibility for your choices. Somewhere along the way, you forgot those lessons, or you decided they didn't apply to you. I've worked my entire life for what I had. 42 years of early mornings, late nights, problems solved, bridges built, projects completed. Every dollar I saved came from honest work. And you wanted to take it in 4 days with a fake business plan and a rehearsed presentation. Here's what I've done. I've sold the house. The buyer paid cash and closed in 10 days. The sale proceeds, along with my savings, have been donated to the Children's Hospital Foundation in your mother's name. She always wanted to do something meaningful for sick kids. Now she has. The new owners take possession next week. I won't be there. I've already moved. Don't try to find me. I've left Portland, and I have no intention of telling you where I've gone. This is my retirement, and I'm going to spend it somewhere I can have peace. You need to understand something, son. This isn't about the money. If you had come to me honestly and said, Dad, Amanda has a gambling problem, and we're drowning in debt. Can you help us? I would have helped. Not with $380,000, but I would have helped you find counseling, negotiate with creditors, make a real plan. Instead, you tried to con me, your own father, and that tells me you've become someone I don't recognize. Maybe Amanda led you into this. Maybe you knew about her debts and her boyfriend. Maybe you didn't. But you were willing to take my entire retirement with a fake business plan. That choice was yours. That's on you. I'm giving you this letter instead of confronting you in person because I don't trust what I might say if I saw your face. I'm too angry, too disappointed, too heartbroken. Maybe someday that will change, but not today, not tomorrow, maybe not ever. If you want to find your way back to being the man I raised, you need to do 3 things. First, deal with Amanda. Either get her real help for her gambling addiction, or leave her. But stop enabling her to destroy both of you. Second, take responsibility. You made bad choices. Own them. Fix them yourself. That's what adults do. Third, learn to live within your means. You don't need the big house, the expensive cars, the lifestyle that looks successful but is drowning you in debt. Your mother and I lived in a modest home, drove used cars, and saved carefully. We were happy. Real happiness doesn't come from impressing other people. I hope you learn these lessons. I hope someday you become the man your mother would have been proud of. But that's your journey now, not mine. I've spent the last 8 years alone since your mother died. I've spent them being dad whenever you needed something, being the reliable one, the one you could call, the one who would help. And all along, you were just waiting for the right moment to cash out. Well, I'm done being that person. I'm done being the backup plan, the safety net, the fool you thought would hand over his life savings without asking questions. I'm going to spend whatever years I have left living for myself. I'm going to wake up every morning somewhere beautiful. I'm going to read all the books I never had time for. I'm going to learn to paint. Maybe I'll make new friends. Maybe I'll even find someone to share this new life with. What I won't do is spend another day wondering when you'll call, asking for money. Wondering what crisis you've created that you need me to fix. Wondering if you ever actually cared about me or just about what I could give you. This is goodbye, Michael. Maybe not forever, but for now. If you ever truly change, if you ever become the man I used to believe you were, maybe we'll talk again. But that will be your choice to make, not mine. I loved you from the moment you were born. I still love you now. But love doesn't mean letting yourself be used. Love doesn't mean sacrificing your own dignity and security for someone who sees you as a resource instead of a person. Take care of yourself, son. And I mean really take care of yourself. Not the fake version you've been pretending to be. The real you. The one I used to know. Dad. P.S. The Hospital Foundation will use the money for pediatric cancer research. Your mother would have loved that. I hope someday you will too. I sealed the letter in an envelope and left it with Patricia to mail after I was gone. At 8:45 the next morning, I heard Michael's car pull up. I watched from the window as he got out alone. No, Amanda. He looked tired, stressed. He walked to the front door and knocked. I didn't answer. He knocked again. Dad, it's me. Are you ready to talk? I stood there on the other side of the door, my suitcases already in the rental car parked in the garage. The moving truck had come at 6 a.m. for the few pieces of furniture I was keeping. Everything else was being sold with the house. Dad, his voice was getting louder now, more desperate. Dad, come on. I know you're in there. We need to talk about this. Please. I heard him try the doorknob. Locked. Then his footsteps going around to the back. The sliding glass door, also locked. My phone buzzed. A text from him. Dad, what's going on? Why won't you answer the door? Another text. This is serious. We need that money today. Another. Please call me. I'm freaking out here. I turned off my phone. Through the window, I watched him pace in the front yard, phone to his ear, probably calling Amanda, telling her something was wrong, that the old man was backing out. At 9:30, I heard his car start. He sat there for a moment, then pulled away. I waited another hour to make sure he was really gone. Then I loaded the last box into the rental car, took one final walk through the empty house where I'd lived for 33 years, and drove away. I'd already made arrangements to stay at a hotel near the airport for 2 days while the house sale finalized. On Monday, I'd fly to Sedona, Arizona. I'd rented a small casita there for 6 months. Red rocks, clear skies, peaceful desert, a place where nobody knew me. Where I could just be Robert, not Dad, not the guy with money. not the solution to someone else's problems. My phone stayed off until Tuesday afternoon. When I finally turned it on, there were 47 missed calls from Michael, 23 voicemails, dozens of texts. I deleted them all without reading or listening. On Wednesday, Patricia called. "Robert, Michael came to my office. He was very upset, demanded to know where you are." "What did you tell him?" "That I don't know," which is true. And that, even if I did, I couldn't tell him. He made some threats about suing. I explained that you're perfectly within your rights to donate your own money to charity and move wherever you want. "Thank you, Patricia." "Robert," he looked desperate. "Are you safe?" "I'm safe. I'm good. Actually, I'm better than I've been in a long time." On Thursday, the house sale closed. I donated the proceeds as planned. The hospital foundation sent me a beautiful letter thanking me for my generosity. They were naming a research room after my late wife, Sarah. She would have loved that. On Friday afternoon, I was sitting on the patio of my casita in Sedona, reading a book and watching the sunset paint the red rocks, orange and gold, when my phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Mr. Warren? This is Amanda." My hand tightened on the phone. "How did you get this number?" "It doesn't matter. I need you to listen to me." Her voice was different now. No smooth presentation tone, no practiced warmth, just raw desperation. "Michael is falling apart. He's barely eating. He can't sleep. He keeps saying he's ruined everything. He's right. Mr. Warren, please. He needs help. He needs his father." "What he needs," I said quietly, "is to face the consequences of trying to steal from his own father." It wasn't stealing. It was a business investment. No, it was fraud. I have documentation of every fake manufacturer, every forged consultant signature. I have evidence of your gambling debts and your boyfriend. Do you want me to take all of that to the police? Because I will if you call me again. Silence. "Michael doesn't know about the boyfriend, does he?" I asked. "Please don't tell him." "I'm not going to tell him. That's your job. You're the one who needs to be honest with your husband. And both of you need to leave me alone. Mr. Warren." "Goodbye, Amanda." I blocked the number. That night, for the first time in weeks, I slept peacefully. I woke up Saturday morning to the smell of desert sage and the sound of birds I couldn't identify. I made coffee on my little patio and watched the light change on the rocks. Later, I drove into town and signed up for a painting class at a local art studio. The instructor, a woman named Margaret with silver hair and kind eyes, showed me how to hold a brush, how to mix colors, how to see the light and shadow in the world around me. "You're starting fresh?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Fresh start." "Good for you. It's never too late to begin again." That afternoon, I hiked Cathedral Rock Trail. My knees complained, and I had to stop several times to catch my breath. But I made it. At the top, looking out over the red desert, the green valley, the endless sky, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. I thought about Michael, about the little boy who used to hold my hand and ask me to explain how bridges stayed up, how planes flew, how the world worked. About the teenager who came to me crying after his first heartbreak. About the young man at his wedding, hugging me and saying, "I hope I can be half the man you are, Dad." Somewhere along the way, I'd lost that son. Or maybe he'd lost himself. But that wasn't my responsibility to fix anymore. I'd spent 65 years being responsible. For my career, my family, my commitments, I'd kept every promise, paid every debt, honored every obligation. I'd earned the right to walk away. 3 weeks later, I got a letter forwarded from Patricia, Michael's handwriting. I almost threw it away, but something made me open it. "Dad, I know you probably won't read this. I know I have no right to expect you to, but I'm writing it anyway because I need to say these things, even if you never hear them. You were right about everything. The business was fake. Amanda's been gambling for years. I knew about the debts, but I didn't know how bad they were until you disappeared and everything fell apart. She left me last week. Turns out she'd been seeing someone else for 6 months. She told me she only married me because she thought I had money because of you. When she realized that wasn't true anymore, she was done. I lost the house, lost my job, missed too much work dealing with all this. I'm living with a friend right now, sleeping on his couch, trying to figure out what happens next. I'm not writing this to make you feel sorry for me. I made every choice that led here. You tried to teach me better, and I ignored everything you said. I'm writing to tell you that I'm sorry. I'm sorry I tried to steal from you. I'm sorry I lied. I'm sorry I saw you as a bank account instead of my father. I'm sorry for all of it. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect you to help me fix this. I just wanted you to know that you were right to walk away. You deserved better than a son like me. I hope you're happy wherever you are. I hope you're doing all the things you never had time for. You earned that. You earned all of it. I love you, Dad. I know I have a terrible way of showing it, but I do. Michael. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. I didn't write back. Maybe someday I would. Maybe someday enough time would pass and enough healing would happen and we could talk again, build something new. But not today. Not yet. For now, I had painting classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'd made friends with Tom, a retired dentist who lived 2 casitas over. We played chess and complained about our backs. I'd joined a hiking group for seniors, and we explored the Red Rocks every Saturday morning. Last week, Margaret from the painting class invited me to coffee. We talked for 3 hours about art and life and second chances. She's a widow too, lost her husband 5 years ago. She understands about starting over. I'm taking her to dinner next Friday, and that's my life now. Simple, peaceful, mine. Sometimes I think about Michael, wonder how he's doing, hope he's figuring it out, learning the lessons I couldn't teach him. But mostly, I think about the future, about the painting I'm working on, a sunset over Cathedral Rock, about the book I'm reading, about where Tom and I might hike this weekend, about what Margaret might order when we go to that Italian place she recommended. I spent 42 years building other people's dreams, engineering projects that would last long after I was gone, raising a son who I hoped would carry forward the values I tried to teach him. Now I'm building my own dream, and this time it's built on rock-solid foundation. No fraud, no deception, no trying to take what isn't mine. Just an old man in a new place, learning to paint, making new friends, and discovering that it's never too late to start over. And sometimes, on quiet mornings, when the desert air is cool and clean, I think about that $380,000. I think about the research it's funding, the children it will help, the families who will never know my name but whose lives might be changed because a sick child got better. That money will do more good there than it ever could of stuffing Amanda's gambling debts or propping up Michael's pretend lifestyle. Sarah would have loved knowing that. She always said money was just a tool. What mattered was what you built with it. I'm building a good life, a real life, an honest life, and no one can take that away from me.